All right, so with that, I'll call the meeting to order. And I wanted to welcome everyone here to tonight's meeting. This is the needs workshop meeting, and so we'll be going over a few things, but I'll let Rosie go into the details on it. With that, I'll have Rosie go ahead and take it from here and go ahead and do the meeting to review and approve the meetings of the last month's meeting. And I'll leave it at that, and I'll mute myself.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Great. I'll second it. Thanks.
Good morning, good morning. Oh my goodness, this just shows you what a day it's been. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And let's just go ahead and get started. Really, the meat and potatoes of this entire meeting is to hear from you, hear what you feel are the unmet needs in the community. And then based on what we hear tonight, the committee will make recommendations as to what the funding priorities should be for the upcoming funding cycle. So even though we're just kicking off the fiscal year 22-23, we're already talking about fiscal year 23-24 and starting to do all the work that goes with our CDBG funding. So all of this that's discussed tonight will be presented to the City Council. It was originally going to be presented September 6th. We just found out that meeting is going to be canceled. So now all of this is going to be presented to the City Council on September 20th. That still will not stop our notice of funding availability. It's still going to go out on September 8th as we had planned. That way, all of you have an opportunity to have as much time as possible to go ahead and start thinking about applying for grant funding. And then just with the understanding that the priorities may change if council deems it necessary, or the priorities may stay the same if council feels like what was discussed tonight at this meeting really captures the needs of the community in the upcoming year. So that being said, it's really a kind of open up to hear from you. We're hoping to limit each comment to about 2 minutes. However, if you need a little more time, that's okay. This is your time, but ideally 2 minutes, since we have quite a number of people on tonight to participate. So I'll leave it open to anybody who wants to go ahead and speak. Feel free.
I wanted to just add that I'm going to add the attendance sheet in the chat. So if you could just fill in your name, agency. I'm going to just stop sharing for a quick minute. But
thank you, Alicia. Yeah, very important to write down that you were in attendance tonight, because we do share all of this information with council, and they like to see who's participating and who we heard from tonight. And there will be an opportunity, there is an opportunity as well, if you'd like to speak on anything that's not associated with tonight's intent, which is to hear about the unmet needs. If you have any announcements you'd like to make, we also would love to, open that up as well. We can do that either now or at the very end. We have it agendized as to happening now, but we can happen and if you all just kind of want to go through the unmet needs and then discuss, I'll let you take the lead on that.
and so everyone should have access to the Google Doc in the chat. If you have any issues, just feel free to message me, but you should have access.
Is there anybody that would like to speak first? Either kick off the public comment period or kick off the unmet needs workshop period.
Alicia or Rosie, why don't we call on people as they, if they can indicate that they want to speak in the chat maybe, and then we can go through and just go address them in order. That'll probably be helpful.
Sure, yeah, or they can raise their hand, whatever's easier for everyone. Mr. Delira. Hi, Steve.
How are you doing? You know me, never shy, never shy.
I like it.
So we surveyed our staff at Family Service Agency and some of the people walking through the door, and I'll put this in the chat also. Some of the things that came up were food, shelter, and homelessness. They're seeing an increase, or they believe there's an increase in homelessness in our city. More public safety or law enforcement, and then some people included gang awareness. We most recently learned that the only alcohol and drug treatment provider for adolescents in the entire county is CADA. So as people are saying, we need more than just one substance abuse treatment provider for the youth. We're happy that we have at least one. Childcare came up, and again, I'll put this in the chat. Clothing, help with utility bills, of course, access to mental health services, childcare, and family activities and activities for youth.
Thank you, Steve. I see Denise Sullivan. I see your hand up.
Hi, I just kind of wanted to back off of what he just said. I am a outreach case manager for CityNet, so I go out into the encampments. Can you guys hear me okay? I go out into the encampments and I try to help homeless people experiencing homelessness get into housing. I just want to really emphasize that you strongly need more here in Santa Maria. I think it would be very beneficial for people to have another option where to go. A lot of people out on the streets, they have been red tagged from the shelters. They can't use any of the programs that are currently available run through the local shelters here. So having another service provider where they can go, whether they had a bad experience, would help. I see a lot of frustration with business owners and police department when we go out and we try to help the police dealing with homeless in front of businesses or causing problems. We don't have anywhere to send them because the shelter is full. So I think trying to find solutions to the problem would be really amazing, and just more supportive services, having places for people who are homeless so they can go and we can go out there, outreach, get them into shelters. That's it.
Thank you, Denise. Appreciate that. Karen Powers, North County Rape Crisis Center.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Oh, sure.
Can you elaborate? This is Ron. Can you elaborate on the red tagged from shelters? What exactly that describes?
Sure. Yeah. So as we know, we have a shelter here in Santa Maria. They are also a family shelter. So there are children on site. When there's somebody that goes, so that's just one thing I want to bring up. When people go and they're dealing with mental health, substance abuse, sometimes, them in a group setting, they can act up, they do something, where it's a disruption to the point a case manager has to red tag them, meaning they're no longer allowed to go to they're no longer allowed to use any detox programs. So say that person and a couple of months down the road, they want to get help. And they want to get sober, detox. Well, the detox program here that's free in Santa Maria is run through the Good Samaritan. So it's a little hard to put them in that program if they've been red tagged. And I feel Good Sam has to have those types of protections just because there are children on property. So I think having another place that's really, really low barrier for people to go would be very helpful. So they have to have done something at the shelter to have been red tagged, meaning when their name pops up to try to go back, they're not allowed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Karen?
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I do want to first start off by saying that I always struggle with the unmet needs, because I know that CDBG funds so many necessary needs, but it always feels like, what haven't we funded? What haven't we done? What do we need to do almost instead? And I struggle with that because for all of these agencies are addressing so many issues, there are so many people in our community whose needs are not being met. So to say, like for the Rape Crisis Center, there are people that still don't know we exist for all the outreach we do, working with Child Safe in the schools. When they do, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys have been or will be sexually assaulted by their 21st birthday. So we know that the need is absolutely still there for all that we're trying to meet it. So also our intervention services in the event of a sexual assault, we respond to the police officer detective interviews, and we go on evidence collection to sit with the survivors. So we are meeting a need, but it remains unmet, if that makes any sense. So thank you for your time.
That's a good point, Karen, that when we talk about this meeting as discussing the unmet needs, we are including those needs that we continue to try to meet, but we still, because the need is so high, we're still not meeting that need. So unmet needs could be something that we continuously just do, just because the need keeps increasing.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Anne, North County Red Crisis.
I'm not going to correct Karen or anything on anything she says. I actually just want to kind of go back to the person before that was talking about housing and shelters and address Ron's question with regards to being red tagged. We have rape survivors that need immediate shelter, and sometimes we're not able to get them into a shelter because they've been red tagged, or if they're under the influence, they're oftentimes not able to get into a shelter at that particular time. So, you know, when it comes to housing, we work collaboratively with a lot of different agencies that help house individuals that we need housing for when we can't afford to put them up in a hotel, or if there isn't a room available, or whatever the case may be, or we can't get them into the women's shelter, to domestic violence solutions shelter. So I support my sister who was talking a little bit before, and also it speaks to the level of need that we have too.
Thank you, Anne. Is there anyone else in the group that would like to speak or share their thoughts on any of the unmet needs in the community? Emily from CityNet.
Hey guys, yeah, a lot of this conversation is around the homeless population in your community. And so my name is Emily, I'm from CityNet. I'm the program manager and I work closely with Denise. I think something that's really unique to your community is the number of undocumented farm workers we're seeing out in the encampments when we do our outreach. Unfortunately, this specific homeless population can't access housing. And so they're left to live in tents and encampments while they're still full-time working under the table and helping us feed ourselves. And so I just wanted to raise that issue as well, since they can't access the shelter system without an ID. And they can't access permanent housing without an ID or without helping on their immigration status. So this is one thing that we're seeing very unique to the city of Santa Maria. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate that information. Anyone else? All right, if there is no more public comment on the unmet needs, we can go ahead and move on. We're going to try something fun that will kind of put it all in perspective in a visual way. So some of the things that we heard tonight, such as increased need for low barrier homeless shelters, just regular shelter, access to food, and then also some assistance to undocumented farm workers. Some of those things that we've heard tonight. While we've heard them, we haven't really visually seen it. So Alicia came up with a really cool way of putting it all in perspective in a visual way. So I'll let her kind of introduce this quick little activity.
Let me just try and can't access the chat right now. Don't know why. Got it. Okay. So in the chat, I'm going to provide the link to the Jamboard, and I'll just do a quick screen share to show you how you can add little post-it. So we're giving everyone the opportunity to add up to three post-its on what you think are the unmet needs for the city of Santa Maria. So if you're not familiar with Jamboard, these are just some examples. And everyone can see my screen, okay, correct? Okay. So you just go over here to the left-hand side and you'll go to sticky note. You could choose any color you'd like and then put what you believe would be the unmet need. So homelessness is already on there. It's okay if it's on there more than once. That way we can kind of see the majority of, there you go. So I'm gonna delete the ones I added and you can add up to 3 of your choice and then you can move them around. And that's about it. So we'll give everyone 3 minutes and I'll go ahead and stop, or I'll start the timer here. Bring up the PowerPoint. Does anyone have any issues opening the link? If not, just send me a message.
Alicia? Alicia?
Yes.
Once I press the link, it kicked me out of the Zoom.
It kicked you out of the Zoom?
Yeah,
Like
if you click the link, it says you leave in the Zoom. So I don't know if it.
Oh, I think it's just because you're opening like an outside link. I think
Correct.
it's just a security message.
Okay.
We have 45 seconds to finish up. I'll go ahead and bring up the Jam board to see what the results are. Wow. Make sure we could see everything. Nice. So this is just a visual representation to show what everyone's thinking and will kind of help guide our advisory committee with adopting the priorities for the upcoming fiscal year. So let me just make sure that all of them are showing. Is there anyone that does not see one of their? There's one covered here. Right. Right. Well, if does the committee have any questions in regards to the priorities that were listed there or the unmet needs? Just to have the participants elaborate on what was entered.
I appreciate the detail in the suggestions and the responses. It's great. This really adds to the information we're receiving because we not only heard it, but now we're seeing it, and it makes a big difference. There's a lot of unmet needs out there. So what we will do next is we will, once the committee has had a chance to look at this Jam board and also take in what you all said, we'll go back to what the priorities are currently. And that is slide 3, Alicia. And then what we will do is we'll pass it over to the committee, and the committee will discuss whether the committee members feel that the current needs, the current priorities meet the needs discussed tonight and shared by all of you, or if the priorities need to be adjusted. So at this time, we'll go ahead and hand it over to the committee for discussion and a recommendation.
Would it help if I have the Jam board next to it? Or is it too
Oh, if you
small?
could do that, if you could do that, that would be great.
Let me see.
You're so fancy.
And if any of the committee members have any suggestions, if you could just either raise your hand or somehow otherwise let me see, and I'll have Alicia or Rosie catch you and let you give your input. That way we're not stepping on each other.
Just trying to figure it out here. Yeah, let me know if it's too small.
It looks pretty good for me, but it could be the monitor as well. Can everybody, if somebody can't see it, we can definitely make adjustments.
So I think based on what we see, it's consistent with what our priorities list is. I don't see any reason for changing anything. They generally catch, all the problems that we've seen in the Jamboard. So I don't know. I'm happy to take any input, but like far as I can tell, I don't see any real need to move anything or adjust anything. And keep in mind too that they're not in order of importance. They're just references. So it's not like that type of issue. So go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm just struggling with this this barrier on the shelters. I don't know how we can address that we have our stuff in place already. I don't know if there's anything new that we can add that would help that. That's an actual agency that would have to come up with that, right? That's nothing really we can do about that other than fund an agency that might be able to come up with that low barrier shelter.
Right. I don't see anything that we can do. We certainly can't tell any agency that we fund how to run their organization. We can elect to fund them or not, but yeah, I don't know what we can do about the redlining or red tagging.
Yeah, that's actually the first I'd heard of that. So thank you.
Hey, I think the issue also goes beyond red tagging. Just coming from a trauma-informed and client-centered space, when a client has a hard time with any agency, right, we want to give them multiple avenues to explore. So for example, if I don't get along with so-and-so, I'm going to go to he said, she said to another person to get my services and get my needs met because I've had a bad experience with them. So it's just providing more outreach providers and more homeless services providers and different sheltering options. So that's just not one place for people to go, but multiple avenues. Yeah. Variety, it matters.
Again, like Tim said, this comes down to the organizations who we support, and if we can't force the creation of new organizations to pick up the slack if people are pushed out of the other agencies. I don't know what the city has internally to handle mental health. I think it's limited to what the county offers, and I know that that's limited itself. So I really don't know, barring having new agencies coming to us and saying, "Hey, we're going to offer this program. What can you give to us to support that priority?" Sorry, Denise you have your hand up.
I would just say if an agency did come up and say, we want to try to bring pallet homes to Santa Maria or a safe parking program for the city to see that there is a huge need and to fully support it. I think that would be very helpful.
Okay, thank you.
And this is Ron. I think in my head, one of the main issues that I'm running into is that we need to be fluid in our decisions and how we approach things, simply because you never know what's going to be happening a month, 2 months, 6 months, or a year from now. And with the current rate of inflation, and then I've even heard on multiple news sites about food banks closing. So, that I think that in that situation, it's hard to talk about particular needs right now when we don't know what the current state of the economy or whatever will be in 6 months or a year from now.
Thanks, Ron.
Bob Doyle, I have a comment.
Yeah, go for it.
I do sit on another board. I want to point this out. That's a housing board. And one of our hardest problems we're having is when we open special needs, which is this group we're talking about housing, that people come from agencies that are referred, that are supposed to clean themselves up. And then they get into the housing situations and they're not ready for housing. And they end up having problems. And then they end up being put out of the housing. When you lose public housing, you know, it's very hard to get. And as a member of the board, I struggle with that because if you turn 10%, maybe that's the problem of your project. You know, that's not good. It costs us thousands of dollars, and those people still aren't getting met. Even if you open a special project for the people who don't get along with other people, if we want to use that phrase, they can't even handle being in a more limited problem. So we need more mental health. This is what I'm trying to get to. And that is the county issue. I understood the county was 35 employees below their, they have jobs open. So until we fix that, you know, it's going to be hard to get housing. We had a chance for a unit in the city and the council did not want it. And I totally understand why. But we need to get more facilities, housing facilities in the city of Santa Maria. And, you know, that is a challenge on all sides. There's a lot of money out there if we can get the city and the agencies. There is only one agency building special needs housing in this county, and that's the board I'm on. That's the Housing Authority of Santa Barbara County. And we need other agencies to step up to get more projects. But this is a major, what the counselors from the streets are telling us are a major problem for the Housing Authority. So, and we're making some big changes to try to do things that we don't normally do to get some counseling into our buildings. But we've got to get an answer. When we get people in those projects, they stay there because that's one family off the street. And if one family member gets in trouble and the whole family's out, you know, we have a major crisis. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bob. Denise, did you have something to add? I saw your hand came up briefly. I don't want to miss you.
No, I kind of agreed with what Bob said, just more mental health services and, you know, just.
Thanks. Does anybody have anything else? All right, does anybody have any recommendations or suggestions on reordering anything or adding anything to our current priorities list? Because, like I said, I don't see anywhere we can squeeze anything in, but I'm happy to consider anybody's suggestion.
This is Rosalie. I'm okay with our current priority list.
Thanks. I guess then based on that and the comments I'm seeing in the chat, I don't know, Rosie, do I need to make a motion that we just keep the funding, the priorities list as it is?
Yes, and you had initially made that recommendation. It wasn't a formal motion, but if you want to make a formal motion now, and then Rosalie also agreed, I see Patricia. So if somebody just wants to give me a first and second.
Yeah, I'll give you a first, please. Thanks.
I'll second.
Okay.
Great, thank you so much. So moving on, we're almost done. I just definitely want to give any of those in attendance, our agencies, an opportunity for public comment if they wish to share anything that's coming up with their agency. If there's anything you'd like to share outside of this meeting, but this is a good opportunity since you have a few community leaders here to share anything coming up if you'd like to, no pressure. We also have our quarterly brown bag lunch meeting happening Wednesday, August 17th. That's also another great opportunity to share things about your agency with other nonprofits from the community. And what ends up happening usually is people will walk away making connections and working together to assist the residents of this community. And I see Tim with his hand up.
Rosie, I just wondered, did we vote on something? Because there was a motion and a second, but I didn't vote on anything.
You know what? You're right. I totally jumped the gun. My apologies. Thank you so much. Yes, I think all in favor.
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
I see thumbs up. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you,
For
Rosie.
setting me straight. And I see Steve with his hand up.
So if Communify is in the room, I don't want to steal their thunder, but this is a good news and a bad news story. I mean, the bad news is we qualified for the grant. The good news is we just received notice that we will be receiving a violence prevention funding. There's 9 agencies, public sector, private sector, nonprofit, all coming together. So the grant was written by Communify. Fighting Back Santa Maria is involved. Family Service Agency is involved with counseling services. Fighting Back Santa Maria is going to be doing a Los Compadres program, so culturally competent program to work with boys. And the goal is to work with kids in the elementary school to hopefully prevent violence. Counseling will happen both individually, family, and the entire household, since we know sometimes we have many families living in the same household. And it's a collaboration with the with the probation department, with the Santa Maria Police Department, with the city of Santa Maria, the mayor signing off, giving us her support. It's just an amazing collaboration of 9 agencies coming together to make Santa Maria a safer community. And there should be an article coming out in the Sun, if it's not already out, that I'm not prompting you to go read the Sun, but go read the Sun. It's Miss Taylor did a very good job of writing about the grant and what it is. So congratulations to Santa Maria, congratulations to Communify for an excellent job on the grant.
That's fantastic. Congratulations, Steve. And if you have a little, I know it's coming out in the Sun, but if you have a little write-up, we would be happy to put that in our monthly electronic newsletter as well.
I will send the press release that they sent us.
Oh, perfect. That would be perfect. And I do see Patricia put in the chat that the Fund for Santa Barbara fall cycle is open. Deadline is August 29th, and she put a link to the funding guidelines. So that's exciting. Thank you, Patricia, for sharing.
Thanks for the out loud plug.
Yeah. Yeah, and just a reminder also, a plug from our division, that we do have our human services guide, which you're all a part of. So thank you for all of your participation and support with that, but it's in English and in Spanish. It's on our main special projects page. So it's cityofsantamaria.org/special projects. And then we also have those QR code business cards. So we have these little business cards that have the QR code, and then anybody can access the guide that way. And if you want some, we are more than happy to mail you some so you can give them out to your clients. And if you're interested, just send us an email letting us know where you want us to send it to. You can come by and pick a stack up, whatever works best. We just definitely want to get the word out because we want to share information about your organization with other people so that they can access the services that they need. Okay, so what is next after this? So as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, all of this will be gathered, minutes will be written up, and a council agenda report will be drafted and submitted to the city council. And this will go to the city council on September 20th. That's a Tuesday. It'll be at 5:30 at City Hall, which is 110 East Cook Street. And it will be in the form of a public hearing, which means that even though general items are, they can hear from the public hearing is specially designed. There is four comments from the public. So if you wish to attend, there's no mandate that you have to, but if you wish to attend and also share what you shared tonight with the city council, you're more than welcome to. And that will take place on September 20th at 5:30. The city council will take the committee's recommendation for the priorities for the upcoming fiscal year and review and approve the recommendations if the council feels these are the appropriate recommendations for the upcoming funding cycle. The notice of funding availability will go out on September 8th, and that will have tonight's adopted priorities. Now, keep in mind, they're not the final priorities because council still needs to approve them, but we definitely didn't want to hold back on submitting the NOFA to all of you, because we do understand that you need as much time as possible to prepare the application and to get everything ready, since the applications are due in December, and we really want to give you as much time as possible. So that being said, that is it for us. Committee members, anything else you'd like to share?
So if I could, I'd like to thank all the members of the different organizations who came tonight to give us your input. It's always a tough job trying to pick who to fund every year, but it's so much harder what you do. You're the boots on the ground, and we really appreciate how you get the services out to the people who need it. And so said we're happy to hear what you guys have to say. We want to be responsive as much as we can within our limited means. Like I said, there's only so much we can do through our committee, but that this kind of process of being open and trying to hear what you all have to say, we appreciate you making the effort to do this, taking the time to take extra time out of your day to do this, because you already have busy days. So we understand that. So we appreciate that. So I just wanted to extend that and my thanks to everybody, and on behalf of the committee, for all the work that you all do. So thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Rosalie, I see your hand up.
Yes, I just want to make share something with you all, that I attended I don't know if you've heard of the Youth Arts Alive. It's a nonprofit organization that's been going on for about 6 years, which I just found out, and they have a program every year in July for 3 weeks that they have gone to the schools and try to have students sign up, from the little ones up to teenagers, at Grogan Park area and Manami area, and they get grants and they get volunteer teachers, and they put on after they complete their classes, then they put on a big show at the Vets building. So you'll have some of the kids that are learning to sing. They have a choir. They're dancing. You see them dancing. Some of them they have a guitar. 12 of them playing guitars. Some of them are playing ukuleles, and then some of them are doing drama. And then you'll see their artwork, their pottery work. I was really amazed to see this project that goes on every year. And of course, the fella that coordinated it is leaving. He's going to be moving to Italy. So there's a gal, Emma Flores, is taking over. So, if you have a chance to look at that program in next year in July, I mean, it's just a wonderful program for the young kids, and it gets them out of the streets, during that time. So I just wanted to share that with all of you.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Never heard of that program before.
And then Rosie, do we have any proposed agenda items? Or anything that
Not
you
for
can think of?
September. As of now, we do not have any proposed agenda items for September.
Thanks. If
Well-
there's nothing else, oh, go ahead. Were you gonna say something, Bob? No? Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting. It's 6:16.
You're getting faster.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time and your feedback. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see you
Good
guys.
night, good night, everyone.
Night.
Bye.
Hey, Rosie, you got a sec?
Sure.
Just whenever the meeting's done.
Yeah, let me stop the